Now, sadly, the issue of bullying has been highlighted all too often recently with the tragic and unnecessary deaths of Phoebe Prince and, of course, Leanne Wolfs. And we met her parents again recently, and this shocked the nation.
To spot bullying in your children, understanding them and their problems at a young age is key, but it's not always easy to do. With us this morning is Fiona McCausland and Peter Nicholson, co-authors of the Resolving Bullying book. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Sounds like a lovely title, Resolving Bullying, like you just wave a wand and everything's fine. We know it's a very, very complex issue and one that can have serious and tragic outcomes. Why did you both decide to write the book? What was the starting point?
Well, I work as a mediator and conflict coach and come across bullying and the effects of bullying all the time. And in some of the work I do, I'm working with parents and children. And it was really through that work that prompted us to look at bullying as one of the prime issues to write about. So it was really being presented to me as a professional all the time.
That help was needed, that parents were flailing about and children needed help.
Yes, and it's a highly complex issue. And it's very relational, and it is about both parties. And as a mediator, I work in that way, and writing about it and really offering the skills that I would use every day as a mediator to parents and to children was really the starting point.
Yeah, so. You say it's a very complex issue. I tend to look at kind of Alexander the Great's attitude to the Gordian knot. I can't untangle this, go straight to the point, and you go, this is wrong, it hurts people. If it hurts, it's wrong. If it was done to you, it would hurt, it would be wrong, so don't do it. Is that way too simplistic?
It is. I think the best way to look at it is that you're wanting to have a policy in an organisation where you're saying it is wrong. And you have a number of processes that are trying to bring that about, that it's a sort of, what would you say, low tolerance or no tolerance to this behaviour. But when you actually look at how bullying affects both parties, and in this case we started by looking at the child that's being bullied, you have to really understand how it's affecting the child, and that you as a parent have a lot you can do in supporting how the child can move from the effects of being bullied, which is very intimidated, very self-esteem, isolation, you know, all of these things. You can do a lot over time to build that up, and also to teach your child ultimately how to handle the bully themselves within the framework of having to face school every day. So it's complex, but there are a lot of things you can do about it.
Peter, what will parents find in the book?
Well, the books are broken down into three different parts. The first part is really where the biggest problem is a lot of children are in denial. A lot of adults don't realise their child is being bullied, and a lot of children, besides not knowing that they're being bullied, are afraid to talk about it. So the first part of the books are actually to make the child reflect, make them realise this could be me that's being bullied. It could be me in the book. The second part of the books then actually are a colourful story, and the child can actually sit down on their own in school or with parents or with friends and actually read through the story of how you deal with being bullied, how you deal with resolving being bullied, because it's not a magic wand. The third part then is a toolbox, and it helps the child practice what they've learned throughout the books with games, with tips and hints. And
so are these techniques you're teaching the children in?
Yes, very much techniques.
Give us an example of one.
Well, one of the in the toolbox itself, there's one which is a game, and when you start the game, you have choices the whole way through it. So when a child comes to a decision to be made, do I tell my parents, do I not? If they don't, they then run into a cul-de-sac. If they do, they move on to the next piece.
I see.
And that works throughout all of the books,
which are positive reinforcement.
Yeah. Now the books are then connected to a website which has additional downloads, so that the parent can go in and get information that would be too high above where the child is at, or the teacher, and also has other projects for the children to actually go in and just reinforce what they're learning on an ongoing basis. Because you don't resolve bullying or anger or anything like that overnight.
One of the things, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that's key. What we've done, I had a past life as a professional violinist, and I've brought with me the idea of rehearsing. You know, these are tips and ideas that are simple to learn at home with your parents, or even on your own with the games. And then you're more able to break it down and think, this will work for me. This is an idea I can do. Here's another idea I can do. And with some sort of practice, you can go out and you can build up a number of things you can do, and then you're able to cope with something better.
I'm going to have to ask you a question, because there'll be mothers at home going, are they parents?
Yes.
You are.
Oh, very much so.
They'll be demanding to know. Do they know what it's like?
Yes.
And have your children suffered bullying at all?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, yes, we are parents, but more particularly, I work with children who are in this situation on both sides. I work with children who are being bullied. I also work with children who are doing it. Do you know, I was asked this the other day. I think, honestly, we're beginning to talk and understand about it more, and I think that there's more awareness, and we're encouraging, thank goodness, our next generation to speak. When they're in difficulty, we're saying to children, tell us about it, tell somebody. So I think that the statistics on it are kind of varied, but I think what we're hearing is what's been going on always. But now it's actually coming through, and we're spotting it on it. Absolutely.
Okay, we discussed this just before we started. I mean, you know, for every one child that's bullied, there's half a dozen involved in it, because it isn't. I mean, sometimes it is on a one-to-one basis, but usually it's the herd, it's the gang. And statistically, that means that there's more likelihood of your child actually being involved in bullying or being a bully than being the victim. Now, it is so much more acceptable, socially and on just about every other level, to discuss it when your child is the victim. People are very vocal about that. People are not so vocal when it comes to the fact that their child may be the person who's doing it. So as a parent, what do you do if you get a call from the school saying, well, actually, we've investigated this, and your child is actively bullying this and is ringleading others, and you're, well, there's the shame and the embarrassment and all the rest of it, and the reluctance to believe your little angel would do that.
Most parents would deny that.
Absolutely. But once you get past the denial, you go, well, actually, we have a problem here, and my young fella or girl is being a real pup and a brat, and this needs to be dealt with. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I'm somebody who has to quite often do this. The telling to somebody, or the information, and I think from the point of view of hearing that as a parent, first of all, you
instantly
will
it's a reflection on you and your parenting skills.
Well, that's what you're going to feel. I mean, you know, parents, we all tend to be very tender about that anyway. I think you have to stop, as much as it's against what you want to do, you have to stop and be prepared to listen. You see, one of the problems with the word bullying is it tends to cover lots of different things, and what we're really looking at with this is that control and power over another person, shaming another person. There's a spectrum. So what you might start hearing if you go and say, look, tell me about what my child is doing. What has happened here? I want to understand. Primarily what we want to do as parents is, if our child is in trouble for something, if they are behaving inappropriately, we need to try and suspend our fear of what we might have done wrong to try and get to how we can help them.
So but you deal with this aspect as well?
We're going to be doing a second book. We thought about putting the two issues into the one book, but felt that actually both need...
warranted their own.
Yeah,
it's very different stories.
Guys, the books are called?
Resolving Books.
And where can people get their hands on them?
Well, you can go to www.resolvingbooks.com and buy them online, or in any good bookstore, Veritas.
Oh, through Veritas. All right, okay.
It's a subject matter we'll return to, I've no doubt. Thank you very much. Great idea.
Thank you.